All right, yeah. So, tips on starting a new business. Sometimes people have these challenges when they start new businesses. It becomes very, very difficult at the beginning. Yeah, of course, it's expected. But when you're starting a new business, there are a couple of things that you should ensure that they are in place before you kick off. Otherwise you would have a problem. So on the tips on starting a new business, I think the first thing you need to do is to make sure that you are the one that's running the business by yourself. Make sure that you be the one doing and managing that business by yourself. Otherwise, you are going to have a problem. Because if you open a business and you think you can hire people to run the business for you, maybe you think you can hire a sales boy or a sales girl to run the business for you, my dear, you're making a very big mistake. You're opening the business for that person. The person will just run you dry. Run dry, kill the business, use the money they made from your business and go and set themselves up or start up a new business. So if you are starting a new business or you want to start a new business, make sure that you're going to be the one to run and manage that business. If you're not going to have time for that business, please do not start that business, because it's definitely going to fail. It's only when even when the business has stabilized, you want to stay higher, maybe you have a lot of things you are doing and you need a sales guy, it still needs your presence full time. Otherwise, you are going to have a problem. So this is one of the tips, you need to make sure that you put in place when you're starting a new business. Then another one, I'm going to tell you just five of them. All right, these five are realistic things. It's not something you get, maybe you do a search on Google and Google will tell you, look for business, look for a problem to solve, look for all those paper. No, this is realistic things that you should do. You should make sure you put in place before starting that business. Otherwise, you have lots of problems. Okay, so the second thing I think you must have to make sure that you have when you're starting a new business is make sure that you're well trained on that business. You can't just wake up and say, I want to start selling, or I want to start doing this. No, you need to get well trained. You need to learn everything about that business. You need to get the cheat codes. You need to know the nitty-gritty, the customer types, how to deal with them and stuff like that. You just need to learn that business. I must be frank with you. You just need to learn that business. If you don't learn it or you don't know how, please do not start, because definitely you have problems. So before you start a new business, please make sure that you know in and out of that business, at least to a very good extent, before you commit your money. Then another thing, which the third thing, is make sure that the only reason why you want to start that business is not because you heard or you noticed that, oh, there's so much money in this business, or you've seen a lot of people that are doing the business and they're making so much money. That should not be the reason why you are going into that business. Yes, of course, if you want to do any business, of course, if there's no money in that business, nobody will go into it. In fact, is there any even business that money no day? Money there every business. It all depends on your, I don't know, but money there every business, sha. Because you go see that same business where person they do is making a lot of money. There are so many other people that are doing it and they are not succeeding. So of course you can't say there's no money in some businesses. So make sure that the reason why you're starting that business is not because that you heard that, oh, your friend or your colleague or your whoever, your neighbor is doing this thing and is making so much money. Oh, there's money in it, let me go and start. No. If you start that business simply because of this reason, it will get to a point, because every business has down times, every challenges everywhere. By the time you start facing those challenges, you get tired and you jump out of that business. So don't just jump in because you feel that, oh, people are making money in this business, let me jump in. If you jump in like that, you are going to jump out. Then number 4, before you start, or as you're starting, set out a certain amount of money that you'll be using to run that business until you start making profits. That is when the business is, stabilizing. If it's going to take you like 2 million or 500,000 or 200,000 to start this business, make sure you have like maybe like, for example, if it's business that you spend like 1 million or 2 million to start, make sure you have like 500k or 300k somewhere by the side that you also you used to be running and taking care of some other things and pushing up the business until things start normalizing. Not that once you invest everything and you start now waiting to start making profit. No, it doesn't work like that. So you need to get yourself ready for all these things. You need to get your mind prepared for all these things. Otherwise, you get frustrated and you chicken out of that business. Now, be say you don't fail. The business don't fail with that. So if you must start a new business, all these things are things you need to put in place. This is not social media content. This is not is reality. So if you must face that business, if you must do that business, you need to face reality. And these things I'm listing for you now are the reality you need to face. Not all of them, but at least the major things you need to consider. Then another one that people don't usually, people usually undermine, or people don't usually, this: avoid entertaining friends and visitors in your place of business. This is very important. Some people, when you come to their shop or when you come to their office or when you see people, friends, they will be chatting and all that. See, customers don't like such things. A lot of customers don't like that. When they come and they see people in your office or your shop or your whatever, people are chatting and they know that those guys are not customers. Some of them will just walk away. In fact, even when they see that, before they even come in and they notice that, they just look for the next shop and enter, because they feel that you will not have their time. And there are some customers that they want you as the seller. There are some customers that want to, like, as if they are talking to you privately, explaining to you in private what they need and stuff like that. So when people are there, you not be, talking, and people will be like, people don't just like that. If you want to do business, anybody that wants to see you, let the person wait. When you close, maybe you can go to his house, or he comes to your house, or you guys know where you be. But to be entertaining friends, visitors in your business premises is a total no. Is a how do they speak that English? It's a red flag. So because customers don't like that. So these are few of the things that you need to consider, you need to put in place, you need to have in mind when you're starting a new business. Thank you.